Good evening, good evening, good evening to everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I, thanks for coming in. I see persons joining up. Nice, nice, nice. Wonderful, wonderful. We're here. We know why we're here, because today was paper 1 exam, paper 2, the 90 marks. So we want to take a look at it and see how many of those marks we would have obtained. Yeah. How many you would have obtained. Tomorrow is maths. Yes, tomorrow is maths. Tomorrow is another big day. But that's okay. We here. We will try to go through as fast as possible so that persons could make their way to bed to be well rested in time for mathematics. Yeah. So you forgot what hormone was given off. Ooh. Glenn, I hope you did write that there. 2 identical daughter cells. I really hope you write that and you're not playing games with me. Yeah. I really hope you did write that. Okay, so we want to get into it. We want to get into it. So I think by now enough persons have joined up. Yeah. So we could start. Yeah, we could start. We are here to look at paper 2. Paper 2. That's our focus here today. Paper 2. Paper 2. But I do think it was a good paper. I do think it was a good paper. I'm still waiting for some students to get back to me, but I do think it was a good paper. All right, so let us jump into it, and hopefully you would see where you would have gotten marks. If you did what I think persons would have done, you would see where you would have gotten some marks. Yeah. So we have this paper. It starts off in its usual format. And I want to start off by commending persons like Nickel and Jaden, and many persons sent us the paper or made sure, asked, "Sir, you had the paper?" But yes, so many persons sent us it. So a shout out to you. Thank you for making sure we got it. Yeah. So your favorite principal here to take you through. My name is Travis Roach. So let's begin. This is paper 2. You had 2 hours earlier today at about 1 p.m. AST time. You would have started this exam. You had 6 questions in 2 sections. First 4 questions come in section A, and then 5 and 6 will come in section B. So let us see where they start us off. They start us off by asking about health. So they ask for definitions from the World Health Organization about health. And this is a familiar question. I don't think anyone is surprised about it. You know, once you mentioned physical, mental, and social well-being, I think everyone gets that mark, right? And then they asked about disease. They asked about it. And a disease is an abnormal condition affecting the body. Yeah, it could be caused externally or it could be caused internally. Something external is something like a pathogen, and internally it could be things like your genetics. So you could have a genetic disease, or it could be physiological. So your pancreas could be not working. Yeah, so that will be in your definition, and that was in my definition, right? So once you put that, you are good to go. You just put the well-being of a person. You didn't put the mental and the physical. You just put social well-being. In trouble there. All right. So state 2 causes of non-communicable diseases. 2 causes of non-communicable diseases. So a part of the body could malfunction, right? Malfunction of, so a malfunction of a body part will lead you to some physiological disease. So if your lungs not working as it should, it's possible you might have asthma. Yeah, I hope persons are seeing that. And you could have external, meaning environmental influence to trigger some kind of mutation like cancer. You could trigger cells to go where. So we could have an environmental influence, and I'm classing everything in the broad topic of environment. So like if you're smoking, you smoke, you go get lung cancer, right? So I'm calling it an environmental influence. Yeah. I hope persons would have put in that as well. Yeah. I'm seeing, so someone is calling it lifestyle choices. That's fine. You would get it there, right? Overeating is one of your lifestyle choices. Somebody said they put genetics. Yes, if you put genetics. I'm reading the charts, right? Somebody's talking about climate change. What do you mean by climate change? I'm not too sure what that person means by climate change, but let's continue on. Long COVID occurs where patients continue to experience the effects of COVID-19 for extended periods after recovery. Figure 1 shows the signs and symptoms of long COVID and its prevalence in patients. And we have a graph here, and well, we all expected that some kind of graphical data would come, right? That's expected, and you get here. Graph 1 shows patients with signs and symptoms. Identify 2 signs and 2 symptoms that patients with long COVID experience. We know signs are things that could be identified from persons who are not experiencing it, and symptoms only the person who experiencing it could have. So the signs, and consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 7 things to choose from. You only require 2. I am just identifying out all of them for you. The symptoms as well, right? So you had choices to make here. You had to put 2 for each. From signs, you had just 2 from the 3, and symptoms, you could have just put any 2 from the 4, right? And you would get the mark. Diarrhea. Yes, diarrhea and vomiting are signs, right? I put fatigue and abdominal pain as, if you put that as symptoms, yeah, you're good to go. I get my marks. That's what we're talking about, because all of this is about the one. Yeah, it's the one that we're working with. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so it's the one, the one. Let's just check something here. All right. Identify the most common sign or symptom that long COVID patients experience. So on the graph, you're just looking for the one that is highest, and that is fatigue. That is fatigue. All right. From the responses I'm seeing in the chat, it does seem like you all did as bad as some of you all were saying. Sounds like person's doing great. Right? It sounds like you're all doing great. The least common sign or symptom that long COVID patients experience, and I know everyone would have pulled out their ruler to just make sure that abdominal pain is the lowest. Yeah, once you pulled out your ruler, you would clearly see that abdominal pain is the lowest. So we will just put abdominal pain right there and get our mark. Yeah, marks. Yeah. It is reported that some individuals who are affected by long COVID may experience signs and symptoms for up to 2 years. And considering all of us experience the pandemic, we all know this, right? Suggest 2 ways in which long-term fatigue in individuals affected by long COVID could impact the community, and one way it could impact the economy. So you could have expressed yourself there, and I always encourage persons to choose the easiest answer. Keep your thinking powers for when the question gets hard. So reduce workforce, right? We know the social and emotional strain of being concerned that you have this disease that persistent and everything, right? Basically, something that could put you into a depression, right? Economic, or the economics of it, there's a higher health cost for more sick people. The more people that are sick, the higher the health cost is for whether ministries of health, governments, regional health authorities, hospitals. Think about what happened in COVID, how the hospital system was overwhelmed with sick people, all right? And how nurses and doctors had to work overtime all the time, and who can't get to go home, etc., right? So that is the economic cost that you could identify. There are different economic costs you could identify. Somebody put there, the government have to spend more money for treatments. That is correct. Less persons helping out in the community. That is correct for your community response. That is correct. Right? Less productivity in business. Well, that's the workforce, right? We already mentioned that that is correct. So 15 marks, easy. Keep track of your marks so that at the end we could see where persons are at. So unable to socialize with persons, you might have to explain that a little more. You might have to explain that a little more. And you do have the space to explain it. So, yeah. Let's go on to question 2 and see what it's about. Well, instantly we see that this is the female reproductive system. So they ask us identify the process that occurs at S. S, we see an egg being released. That is called ovulation. So the process is ovulation. State the day of the menstrual cycle in which the process identified above typically occurs, and we know that is day 14, smack in the middle of the 28-day cycle. All right, so reproduction. And I remember doing this in the crash course and pointing it out on the graph and everything. So I know persons ace in this question. Describe the process that is occurring at the region labeled T. The region labeled T is in the uterus. That is a fertilized egg being embedded into the walls. You know that in one word as implantation. They just ask you to describe it. So you mention that is zygote because you see they're doing cell division here, right? You see the cells and you see them growing and getting bigger, and right? So you know it's a zygote. A zygote is up to 2 weeks. A zygote is 2 weeks. Then an embryo is from 2 to 8 weeks. And then from 8 weeks onwards, it's a fetus. Somebody put 7 to 14 works. No, 7 to 14 does not work. They say state the day, not a region, not multiple days. State the day. The day is 14. All right. I'm not too sure why persons were stating a period of time. You know, you can't hope to say 0 to 28 and expect to get a mark for every day inside of that. 14. Ooh, someone said they scratched out 14, boy. All right, let's move on. We have label X, Y, and Z, which occur during the process of childbirth. The stages are not in the correct order. They tell you up front it is not in the correct order. So nobody should put X, Y, and Z for the question that tells you put it in the correct order. All right? So using the letters, place the stages of childbirth in figure 3 in the correct order. Yeah? And the pictures really tell you it. The pictures tell you. This X is the end, right? Because it have no baby inside of there. The baby is in there, so we know this is the start. So it's Y, Z, and X. Wonderful, wonderful, Racy. That's very good. Let's continue. Briefly explain what occurs during the second stage of childbirth. So they have it here for us. They have it here for us. We put it Y, Z, X. So we know what is happening here. They want us to explain it. So you know crowning is happening and contractions are trying to move the baby out of the womb. As the cervix would have dilated, and the baby is being ejected from the womb. Yeah, with help of contractions. All right. So someone put the cervix expand so the baby could pass out. That is correct. That's correct. Right? That is correct. The baby will pass out through the birth canal. Right? So 3 marks. 3 marks. That's an easy 3 marks. That's an easy 3 marks. I'm feeling good about you all from the responses. I'm seeing in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. Someone Reaper. What do you mean by in paper 1 we trust? Right? In paper 2 we trust also. Yeah. Name the hormone which is released through the duration of childbirth. We only have one hormone that everybody should be thinking of. Oxytocin. Oxytocin. Right, that hormone. That hormone. Right, oxytocin. Let's get those marks. Let's get those marks. Right. So let's continue and see. Explain how the named hormone in B3 facilitates the process of childbirth. So what does the oxytocin do? Oxytocin is what started that hormone started the whole shebang, right? It stimulates the contractions. They're giving us 4 marks for this, so we know it causes the contractions, it helps the cervix dilate, it makes the mother happy. It starts to initiate the process for the production of milk. Yeah, oxytocin is a wonderful hormone to have during childbirth. Yeah, and you want it, you want it, and you want plenty of it. So yeah, all you have to do is say the function of oxytocin, and yeah, you're getting your marks. Somebody put progesterone. No, 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 no. You're not getting a mark for progesterone. You're definitely not getting a mark for progesterone. All right. Identify one component of the afterbirth. Well, we all know they're talking about the placenta. Did they show it in the diagram? Yes. Placenta detaching from the uterus. So we all know they're talking about the placenta. Somebody's talking about they spell the word wrong. It's okay if you spell the word wrong, yeah? Once the word is recognizable. If I remember correctly, CXC allows you to have 2 letters in the wrong place. All right? 2 letters in the wrong place. If you have more than 2 letters, well, then might be in trouble. But I mean, you would have tried songing it out and everything. So hopefully 2 or less letters would have been mistaken. All right, so another 15 marks there. So far we are on 30 marks with those 2 questions. Let's continue to question 3. Yes, Leah, oxytocin does help with water breaking. That's correct. Welch, I'm not too sure what bleeding means, but okay. All right, question 3. We on a genetics question. Identify the number of sets of chromosomes contained in haploid human cell and a diploid human cell. We know that the haploid is basically it contains half the total set or half the total number of chromosomes. So it only has, I want to see what persons put for this before I actually say my answer. And I am hoping that you all put the right thing. How many sets they ask you for the sets? The sets. What did you put? What did you put? No. Ooh. Person put the number of chromosomes, but they ask you for the set. It is 1 set. It is 1 set. All right? The haploid is 1 set, and the diploid is 2 sets. All right? 23 is 1 set. All right? I hope, I don't know if persons probably were reading the question too fast, right? So the haploid has 1 set. You might know that has N, and the diploid has 2N, which is 2 sets. All right? Just right. That's CXC big trick question there. That's the big trick question there. State the term which characterizes each of the following definitions in the table below. A very long molecule of DNA that contains the genetic material of the cell. Yeah, you know that as chromosomes. And the one that contains a short section of DNA that contains information for a particular trait. So what if we just put 23? If you just put 23, 23, are you saying it has 23 sets? That is where the English will make that question that response very questionable, because they ask you for sets and the answer is 1. So if you put a number that is 23, then it's obviously not 1 you're saying. But maybe if you explained it, the examiner might be understanding, but as far as if we just go with basic straight up English facts, then the answer is 1 cell. All right. Short sections of DNA that contain information for a particular trait, all right, is a gene. All right, a gene. I hope persons didn't mix this up with allele. Allele is a variation, is variations, right? This is a gene. But let's continue on. Define the toxins are drugs that inhibit mitosis by preventing the movement of chromatids in the cell. Define the term mitosis. Define the term mitosis. And I know someone had write this definition earlier in the chat. Yeah, cell division producing two identical daughter cells containing full set of chromosomes. Yeah, containing full sets of chromosomes. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's continue. Identify two stages that will not occur as a result of the action of toxins. Now, if toxins stopping the chromatids from moving, we straight up know that telophase and anaphase is not going to happen because both those phases have movement of the chromosomes. The chromosomes are moving to go to the end, to go to the poles. So the spindle fibers are pulling them. But if I'm reading the question right, then metaphase may also be correct. Metaphase, the chromatids has to line up at the equator. All right? The chromatids have to line up at the equator, and that is some kind of movement. So metaphase should be correct as well. So if you put metaphase, anaphase, or telophase, you should get it correct. All right. Suggest one process that will not occur in the body as a result of the action of toxins. This is, well, if it's stopping mitosis, then we know repair. Repair is not happening. Some person might put repair, some might put growth, etc. Right? But repair and growth should instantly jump into your head. Shani put prophase. I don't think you're not going to get a mark for prophase. All right, let's move on. We have a pedigree chart, right? Each individual in a pedigree is labeled 1 to 10. We have the parents here, the first generation, that makes them the children, and this is the grandchildren, the second generation. So we see that 4 got together with 3 and had 3 children. Yeah. This is not the best. This is not the best copy, obviously, but 5 and 6 are diseased female and male, respectively. 8 is also a diseased male. So the 2 individuals in the first generation who are carriers of the sickle cell trait, justify your response. The first generation, right? And it's labeled here. So you have to choose from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Identify 2 of the individuals. And I am picking 3 and 4. I'm going with easy. I always encourage you to go with easy. The reason I'm going with 3 and 4 is because they go on to produce a child or offspring who has the full disease. The only way to produce a child with full disease is both parents must have the allele to give that child. All right? So they produce an offspring that is homozygous recessive. All right? Because we know sickle cell is a recessive trait. Right? One individual in the parental generation who has the heterozygous genotype. They ask you to identify one individual in the parental generation. So you go up here for the parents and pick one. One individual in the first generation who has homozygous recessive genotype, and we see it here. It means this person has the disease. We know S is the recessive trait. So you could choose between 5 and 6. Yeah, you could choose between 5 and 6. How is it? How are we looking for these 15 marks? That is the end of question 3. Are we faring okay? Yeah. Are we faring okay? I want to remind persons to make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, do click that subscribe button. We will continue to do more as we prepare for paper 3 and paper 1, which is, I mean, a little ways down. It's not tomorrow. Tomorrow is mathematics, but you want to be aware when we have some live sessions for paper 1 and paper 3. So click that notification bell as well. Question 4. Waste disposal method used throughout the Caribbean. All right. So this question is from section E of the syllabus, right? So they have figure 5, and you watch it. You see you have a dump truck, some kind of garbage truck. You have a excavator. All right. Identify the type of waste disposal method shown. And the mere fact that they have this liner means it is landfilling. All right. So all you have to do is put in landfilling. Somebody said landfill. Douglas, you are correct. You are correct. State the role of each of the following components that have a gas vent and a liner. So the gas vent going up there and the liner, they pointing it down here. So what the liner does, what the gas vent does, the gas vent allows gases that may accumulate to escape because you don't want them to build up, right? And I give an example like methane. You don't want it to build up, so you allow it to escape. What the liner does, and you see here, the leachate collection system. That's what the liner is to do, to prevent the liquids and substances from leaching into the ground. All right. So you could just write that and get your 2 marks. All right. I know this question may have been kind of ticklish for some persons. Let's continue on and see. State 2 reasons for compacting or covering the refuge. You want to reduce the size and you want to prevent unwanted organisms, unwanted pests. You don't want birds and dog and rat and all the various scurrying creatures coming and starting to live in your landfill. Yeah? So pick the easy answers. Name one method of improper domestic waste disposal used throughout the Caribbean. Oh, the Caribbean really like dumping, huh? They really like to dump rubbish. So dumping is an easy mark to get. Adrian, I like you. You're feeling confident. Plenty flames. Nice. That's what we're talking about. Nice. That's what we're talking about. Flames. Yeah. Suggest three diseases that can be transmitted by vectors as a result